Central Arkansas. What you see here are shoots I've taken from plants that I'm growing during the winter. It's the beginning of December rather, I think December 5th or 6th. And I'm taking the cuttings from the shoots on a couple different determinate plants to see if I can keep them alive all winter until spring, and at the same time grow them to full plants. These are determinate tomatoes. So let me show you what I'm doing. So this is a red snapper. I've got only one growing in here, and you can see here, as a determinate, they make a lot of shoots. So this shoot right here, the sucker as they call it, between a branch, a leaf, and the main stem here, is another growing tip, and I take it off when it reaches a good height. Here's another one here, and another one right here. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting these off, and I'm putting them in essentially pure water with just a tad bit of nutrient. Okay, I just took this sucker off. It's the one I just showed you. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is process this. I'm going to cut off this extra big leaf there, and I'm going to cut off just the very tip of this one here. Let me see. I don't know if I was in the camera there. Yeah, I guess probably I was. So now I've got this sucker, and I've used these little foam inserts I use with microgreens and lettuce. Not microgreens, but the lettuce and the microgreen growing system. So I put it around it like this, and that just kind of helps secure it, because if you put several in the liquid here like this, what it does is it kind of keeps it at a certain level, and it blocks out some of the light. I think blocking out the light does help. We're going to do a change today, and you have to do this, I guess, every 5 to 7 days. So I'm going to take, look at all those roots. I'm going to squeeze the liquid out, and we have another cup here to move it directly into. And part of that reason is we use another cup is to keep the light out. And I believe that the roots that were growing in this has concentrated a hormone that helps with rooting. So I tend to keep that. So I took that here. I'm going to take, and I'll clean this out in a minute, and I'm going to do what I need to do with the plants and then put them back in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little foam pieces off here. Now this hydroponic foam. Let me make sure you're in here. And sometimes the roots will grow into them a little bit, but these are really inexpensive, these little foam things. So I removed all the foam. You can see the roots were starting to grow together pretty good here. So I'm going to pause for just a second so that I can get a bit of video for a short that's going to direct back to this video. All right, we're back. And today's YouTube world, you got to generate shorts because people are going crazy for shorts. And so, yeah, you'll see that. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to trim these down. We're going to trim the roots and the tops a little bit. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to slow down this process. Now, you saw how tall they were. And so what this trimming does is it brings it back down and slows down the process, so we can stave off growth to a certain amount until spring. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut part of the root off. We still have some roots that have started here. I'm going to cut part of the roots back so that you see this is what I got. Now when I put it back in there, it has to start back and create more roots so it can send energy to the leaves, and that relationship keeps going until you get a mass of roots and a mass of foliage. So we're going to bring it back. So I did the roots. And now I'm going to take off some of the foliage, like so. I'm going to remove any flower, like these little bitty buds here. I'm going to remove those, and I'm going to take off a bit of this here. So this is what we got. We've got a shortened stem, and it'll sit down in there like that, and it'll continue doing what it needs to do. I'm going to put it back in the water so it doesn't go into too much shock. Move this out of the way. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll do one more on camera. I got to pull the roots apart, and it doesn't really hurt them much. It puts them in a little bit of shock. It ripping the roots off. Look at this one. This one's got tons of roots and tons of foliage. So this will be the one I trim up for you. What I do is I look for a sucker. You see this sucker right here? I can remove this whole piece, bam, just like that. See how much I removed? And this one down here, like that. I gotta look in the camera, make sure I got you. I'm gonna remove a lot of these roots. See that chunk of roots here? And I'm gonna remove some of them over here, just like that. So this is gonna be this particular one. Actually, I'm going to remove this one as well. So now that one's been cut back, and I'm going to do the same thing with these other three, and I'll bring you back and show you what that looks like. These foam inserts, they kind of keep the plants separated, and they kind of reduce evaporation, but they also block out light from going in there. And if you get an algae buildup, that hinders and will even kill your plants. So you want to keep the light out if possible. These people rooting all the time with clear glass jars and that sort of thing. The only way they can do that is by constantly changing out the water, because algae will develop quickly. Alright, so I leave a little bit of a gap here, and that's going to be where the little air comes in, the air bubbler. I call them bubblers. I want to fill this up first. Now I want you to take a look at this compared to where it was. Everything is pulled way back, and I won't have to worry about this for at least 5 to 7 days, maybe even longer. And then I'll just repeat the process where I put the liquid back in this one, and just repeat the process. So there you go. I got this in here. It's just a little pipe with some air holes in it. It generates the bubbles. Now, is aeration needed? Maybe not, but I'm not going to chance it. I'll just take a little bitty cheap aquarium pump, and I'll pump. It's got two hoses, and I'll do both of these cups. And I'm even split off of these and did 4 cups from one little pump. I think they're like 4 watts of power. They're next to nothing. And aeration is, in my opinion, critical to good growth. It just helps. So yeah, that's why I added the aeration. It's just in my hydroponic background. Everything I aerated did better than things I didn't aerate.